My sister-in-law tried to kiss me, and when I rejected her, she made up an affair. Now she owes me $83,000, and the whole town knows the truth she never saw coming. I'm 28 years old. I run a successful business in a town where everyone knows everyone, and I'm married to the most incredible woman in the world. But a few months ago, my sister-in-law literally tried to destroy my life with lies so absurd that I still can't believe someone could be that twisted. And the worst part is that her own parents believed her without thinking twice. I need to get this story off my chest because honestly, my blood boils every time I think about it. But also because in the end, we won. And that feels good. Really good. I guess I should start from the beginning. When I met Emily about 6 years ago, she's everything I ever wanted in a partner, kind, smart, supports me in everything, and from day one, I knew she was the one. But Emily came as a complete package, and that package included her younger sister Cassandra, who was 22 when we met, and from the first moment I thought she was weird. Like there was something about her that didn't sit right with me. Emily told me that Cassandra had always been like that, kind of dramatic, always seeking attention, and that when they were kids, Cassandra would make things up or exaggerate situations just to be the center of everything. Apparently, she had a long history of spreading rumors about Emily at school, like that Emily thought she was better than everyone else, or that she was conceited, things that simply weren't true, because my wife is the most humble person I know. During the time Emily and I were dating, Cassandra did weird things. She would text me at all hours, asking me random stuff like what I was doing or if I wanted to go out for coffee, and when I'd respond something normal, she would delete the messages almost immediately. At the time, I didn't think much of it. I thought she was just being friendly or trying to get to know her sister's boyfriend, but looking back, I should have seen it coming. I should have noticed there was something shady about all of that. Once I mentioned to Emily that her sister had texted me asking if I could help her with something about her car, and Emily got serious and told me, "Be careful with her. I know she's my sister, but I don't trust her when she's around men she likes." I laughed at the time because I thought she was exaggerating, but no, Emily knew her perfectly. Our wedding day came, which was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, and Cassandra showed up in a super flashy white dress that literally looked like an alternative wedding dress. Like it had lace and everything, and several people at the reception commented that it was inappropriate. Throughout the entire night, and when I say entire night, I mean literally every moment she could, Cassandra managed to be by my side in photos, to interrupt when I was talking to my friends, to touch my arm or shoulder every time she said something. And I tried to be polite because she was my wife's sister, but it was uncomfortable. Emily was upset. I could see it on her face, but she didn't want to make a scene on our wedding day, so she just let it slide. Fast forward about 2 years after the wedding, things were going amazing between Emily and me. The business was growing, we had a nice house, we were talking about having kids soon, everything was perfect. Then Cassandra broke up with her boyfriend of the moment, one of many because the girl couldn't keep a stable relationship even if you paid her, and she called us crying saying she had nowhere to go. Emily has a huge heart, too big I'd say in this case, and told her she could stay with us for a few weeks until she found an apartment. I wasn't happy with the idea, not at all, but what was I going to say? It was her sister and she was in trouble, or so she claimed at least. Those weeks turned into 2 months, and during all that time, Cassandra behaved in ways that made my hair stand on end. Every time I came home from work, she was there, wearing super tight or revealing clothes, saying things like, "Oh, Michael, you arrived just in time. I need you to help me reach something from the top shelf," when she could perfectly do it herself or ask Emily. When my business friends came to the house for casual meetings, Cassandra would come downstairs and stay there, blatantly flirting with them, laughing really loud at everything they said, touching their arms, making suggestive comments. One of my friends, Brandon, told me privately, "Dude, your sister-in-law is intense. You should be careful with that one." I told him I knew, that Emily and I had already talked about it several times. The straw that broke the camel's back, and this is where things got really ugly, was one night around 11 when I went downstairs to the kitchen for water. Emily was already asleep. I had insomnia because I was thinking about a big contract I was about to close with an important client, Gregory, and I needed to clear my mind. Cassandra was there in the kitchen, supposedly also looking for something to drink, wearing pajamas that basically covered nothing. She saw me and came closer, saying, "I can't sleep. I think I need company," with that weird voice some people use when they're trying to be seductive. I immediately took a step back and told her, "Cassandra, it's late. You should go to sleep." But she kept getting closer and literally tried to kiss me, put her hands on my chest and everything, and I pushed her away quickly and said, "What the hell are you doing? You're my wife's sister." She laughed, like a nervous laugh mixed with something that sounded like madness, and said, "Come on, Michael. I know you feel something for me. All these months I've seen how you look at me." And I was in total shock because what the hell was she talking about? Never. And when I say never, I mean never. Had I given her any sign that I was interested? Quite the opposite. I always tried to keep my distance. I told her, "You're completely wrong. I feel absolutely nothing for you except that you're my wife's sister and that's it. And you need to get out of this house tomorrow." Her expression changed completely, went from that fake smile to pure rage. And she told me something that should have warned me what was coming. She said, "You're going to regret rejecting me." The next morning I told Emily everything, every detail of what had happened, and she wasn't as surprised as I expected. She told me that Cassandra had done similar things before with other friends' boyfriends, that she had this sick need to be desired by men who weren't available, and that she had probably planned everything from the moment she moved in with us. Emily confronted Cassandra that same day and told her she had a week to find another place and get out. Cassandra acted like she didn't know what they were talking about. I said that I had misinterpreted everything, that she was just being friendly. But Emily didn't believe her for a second, because she knows me and knows I don't lie. Cassandra left the house about 4 days later, and honestly, I thought that was the end of the drama, that we could move on with our lives in peace. But no, things were just getting started. About 2 weeks after she left, Emily got a call from Cassandra crying hysterically, saying she had to confess something terrible, that she and I had been having an affair the entire time she lived with us, that I had been manipulating her, and now she felt used. You can imagine my face when Emily told me this. I literally couldn't process what I was hearing because it was so absurd, so completely out of nowhere. Emily looked me straight in the eye and asked me, "Is any of what she's saying true?" And I told her of course not. You know exactly what happened that night in the kitchen. You know that she was the one who came on to me and I rejected her. There was absolutely nothing between us, ever. Emily believed me immediately, without hesitating for a second. And that's something I'll always be grateful for. Because in that moment, I needed someone to be on my side. She called Cassandra and yelled at her on the phone, told her she knew she was lying, that she was a sick person who needed professional help, and that she didn't want to hear from her again. But the nightmare didn't end there. Oh no. Cassandra was just getting started with her campaign of destruction. Emily's parents, my in-laws, believed Cassandra completely. They called Emily and told her she had to leave that controlling and abusive monster she had for a husband, that I had obviously cheated on their daughter, and that I was manipulating her so she wouldn't see the truth. Emily tried to explain to them what had really happened, but they didn't want to listen. They were completely on Cassandra's side. They told me I was a liar, that I had seduced their younger daughter, that I was a predator, horrible things that made my blood boil because they were completely false. And then, because apparently lying to her family wasn't enough for Cassandra, she started contacting people in my professional circle. My friend Brandon called me one day and said, "Dude, I don't know what's going on, but your sister-in-law is calling everyone, telling them you had an affair with her, and now you're threatening her to keep quiet." Turns out Cassandra had gotten phone numbers of several of my business contacts, including Gregory, my most important client, and was telling them her completely invented version of events. Gregory called me concerned, asking if everything was okay, if there was any problem in my personal life that could affect our project together. At that moment, I knew I had to take legal action, because this was no longer just family drama. This was affecting my professional reputation, my business, my livelihood, everything I had worked years to build. I've lived in this town my whole life. Everyone knows me, and now this person was spreading lies that could completely ruin me. Emily agreed. She was also furious, because her own sister was trying to destroy our marriage and also my career. I hired a lawyer, Mr. Chen, who is the best defamation attorney in the area, and told him the whole story from the beginning. He told me we needed solid evidence, not just my word against hers. so we started collecting everything we could. First, I hired a tech expert who managed to recover some of the text messages that Cassandra had sent me and then deleted. Those messages clearly showed that she was the one initiating inappropriate conversations, and I always responded politely, but distantly. Second, we reviewed the house security cameras. Because, yeah, we had cameras in the common areas, and there were recordings of Cassandra behaving completely inappropriately when Emily wasn't present, touching my arm, standing too close, that kind of thing. We also got written statements from Brandon and other friends who had witnessed Cassandra's behavior, how she flirted with everyone, how she tried to get attention constantly. Gregory was also willing to testify about the call he had received from Cassandra and how strange it seemed to him that she contacted him directly. With all this evidence, Attorney Chen sent Cassandra a cease and desist letter, basically telling her to stop spreading lies about me or face legal consequences. Cassandra completely ignored the letter. In fact, after receiving it, she made more calls, posted vague things on social media, insinuating that a local businessman had harassed her, things like that. So I had no choice. I had to file a formal lawsuit for defamation and harassment. The lawsuit included all the recovered messages, the security recordings, witness testimonies, everything. We asked for compensation for damages to my professional reputation, for the emotional stress she had caused us, and for legal expenses. When my in-laws found out about the lawsuit, they went crazy. They started calling Emily every day, sometimes several times a day, telling her she was a traitor for supporting me, that she was destroying her family, that Cassandra was the victim here, and I was the villain. They used every manipulation tactic you can imagine, guilt, threats. They even cried on the phone saying that Emily was killing them with worry. They told her that if we continued with the lawsuit, they would cut contact with her forever, as if that was going to make us change our minds. Emily's mother came to the house one day without warning, knocked on the door like crazy, and when we opened, she started yelling that we were monsters. How could we do this to Cassandra, who was just a confused child, that I was a manipulator who had convinced Emily that her sister was lying? I told her very calmly, although inside I was furious, that I had all the necessary evidence to prove that Cassandra was the liar, and that if she didn't leave my property immediately, I was going to call the police. She left, yelling that I was going to regret it, that the whole town was going to find out what kind of person I was. Emily, and I decided that the best thing was to cut contact completely with Cassandra and with her parents, at least until the whole legal matter was resolved. It was hard for Emily, obviously, because despite everything, they were still her family, but she understood it was necessary. My parents, on the other hand, supported us completely from the beginning. They knew Cassandra and knew perfectly well what she was capable of. They never doubted my version for a second. The legal process took about 6 months. It was 6 months of constant stress, of not knowing if people in town believed us or believed Cassandra's lies, of worrying about my business and whether I was going to lose clients because of all this. But Attorney Chen was excellent. He presented the case impeccably. And when we got to court, we had evidence so solid that there was basically no way Cassandra could win. During the trial, Cassandra tried to maintain her story, but she contradicted herself constantly. She couldn't explain why I would have messages rejecting her if we supposedly had an affair. She couldn't explain the security recordings where you could clearly see that she was the aggressor. Her lawyer was mediocre, probably because she couldn't afford a good one, and had nothing to defend herself with except Cassandra's word, which by that point nobody believed anymore. The judge was very clear in his verdict. He declared Cassandra guilty of defamation and harassment, recognized that she had spread malicious lies with the intention of damaging my reputation and my marriage, and ordered her to pay $83,000 in damages. She also had to publish formal retractions in all the places where she had spread her lies, basically publicly admitting that she had made everything up. And the cherry on top, we got a restraining order that prohibited her from coming within 100 meters of Emily, me, our house, or my workplace. When we left the court that day, I felt like a huge weight had been lifted off me. Emily was crying, but they were tears of relief, of justice served. Her parents were at the trial, of course, supporting Cassandra to the end, and when they left the building, they didn't even look at us. Since that day, we haven't had contact with them, and honestly, I don't miss them at all. after how they treated us. Cassandra's story after the trial is pretty sad, although part of me feels she deserved it completely. Apparently, she couldn't pay the $83,000. She had to sell her car and some of her things, and her parents had to help her with part of the payment. But the worst for her was the social impact, because in a small town where everyone knows each other, news of a defamation case like that spreads fast. People started avoiding her. Her friends drifted away because nobody wants to be associated with someone who makes up such serious accusations, and she basically became a social pariah. Eventually, she had to move to another city because I couldn't get work here anymore, and people looked at her badly wherever she went. Emily has been in therapy, processing everything that happened with her family, the fact that her parents chose to believe her lying sister instead of her, and the fact that she'll probably never have a normal relationship with them again. It's hard to see her deal with that, but at the same time, I'm proud of her for standing her ground, for believing me from the beginning, for not letting herself be manipulated by her family. My business survived the whole scandal. In fact, Gregory decided to keep working with me after I showed him all the evidence and explained what had really happened. He told me he appreciated my honesty and that he could clearly see that I was the victim in this whole situation. Several clients who had heard the rumors also reached out after the verdict to apologize for doubting me, and that felt good, like a validation that I did the right thing by fighting legally instead of just letting the lies spread. Last week, Emily told me that her mom had contacted her, for the first time in months, not to apologize, but to ask if we could help Cassandra financially because she's going through hard times. Emily hung up on her. And that seems perfect to me, because after everything they put us through, all the lies, and the attempt to destroy our lives, we owe them absolutely nothing. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if we hadn't had evidence, if we hadn't been able to prove she was lying. And it gives me chills, because my entire life could easily have been ruined by the false accusations of an unbalanced person seeking attention. At the end of the day, we won, and that's what matters. Our marriage came out stronger from all this, my business keeps growing, and Cassandra is paying the consequences of her actions. I don't feel any pity for her, honestly, because she had every opportunity to stop, to admit she had lied, but she kept going with her campaign of destruction until the end. Some people just can't accept rejection and prefer to drag others down with them instead of working on their own problems. And Cassandra is the perfect example of that.